Conscious Coliving supports shared living businesses to embed social, environmental, and financial value through research-based content, education, and consulting. I'm very grateful to be speaking to all of you today as participants of the largest student housing conference in Europe. In this video, I will discuss the positive impact that a thriving community experience can have on the members and business of a shared living brand. I will go over the mindset and key elements for how to make a community thrive with insights grounded in research and case studies from our extensive network of partners. And finally, I will talk about why fostering communities is a shared responsibility for all of us. Before we jump in, let's get clear on what we actually mean by thriving community. For us at Conscious Coliving, it means a group where we feel belonging, communicate authentically, and grow together. Definitions of community from other people in the shared living industry include phrases such as emotional connection, identification between members of a group, connection to a certain place and sense of belonging, participation and engagement, and common values and a common goal. And so I invite you all to keep this perspective in mind throughout the rest of this video as we talk about thriving community. Now, let's get into the impact that a thriving community can have on its members. So to start off with, a strong community can really enable members to develop both personally and professionally as they begin to feel more safe and encouraged to discover and share their gifts and talents. Enhanced feelings of connection and belonging can very often lead to increased individual and collective well-being, and there are many studies that are proving this more and more. Finally, living in community just makes life so much easier and efficient as community members share resources, knowledge, and skills. So that's on the member side of things. Now let's talk about the impact that a strong community experience can have on the business side of a shared living brand. First and foremost, a thriving community means that there will be longer retention rates as residents and staff who feel belonging and an enhanced sense of well-being will want to stay longer. This has direct implications on cost savings since less turnover means less money and time is spent on acquiring new people. In addition, the business can spend less on events and maintenance since residents begin to feel more ownership and feel more at home, thus taking better care of spaces and also likely to organize and promote their own events. Finally, strong community can enhance brand loyalty by attracting staff, members, residents who are aligned with community values. And in the afterlife, alumni who leave are more likely to serve as positive references and maybe even live in new locations if they've been living in a thriving community already. So really, it's not just about the space, but the extended community that can really support your business in many ways. Okay, so all of this sounds great, right? But we know that there are many challenges to fostering a thriving community. And according to our research, some of the most common challenges that shared living spaces and communities face in regards to building community are, number one, conflict, right? Of course, among residents in particular around values and clashing needs. Safety concerns, such as those related to access and security, and more recently, of course, COVID-19. Then we often see low engagement levels as a big challenge and threat to many shared living businesses, as well as tensions between resident and staff, which is mostly due to poor communication channels. And finally, an operational overload can also often happen in particular for people who are in the role of community manager or facilitator, as they're often overburdened with tasks that fall outside their core responsibilities. And finally, just to add this, lack of financial stability and a solid business model can of course keep a shared living brand from ever really even taking off. So how do we overcome these challenges? Well, key community building elements that enable communities to truly thrive include, first of all, making sure that there are shared intentions and values which are embedded all the way from the marketing efforts to the curation and onboarding of members to the day-to-day community life experience. Secondly, creating safe spaces that allow for authentic self-expression and vulnerability-based trust to develop among members is key for authentic community building. And finally, facilitating sustained engagement is of course the glue that keeps the community active and connected over the long run. This last point about facilitation is critical. We believe that organic community and human relationships cannot be managed, but rather facilitated. Historically, and with good reason, the hospitality industry has adopted a top-down mindset in which the management team generally carries out the engagement and entertainment strategies. Facilitating authentic community building, on the other hand, is done by enabling residents to foster authentic connection, meet their individual needs, and catalyze collective engagement. Integrating technology is another important aspect of facilitating strong community experience. And based on the research that we've done for the open source co-living apps and tech guide, which is also found online for free, we found that tech can streamline operations through automation of tasks, for instance. It can help better understand resident needs through feedback polls, surveys, and data analysis. Tech can also help facilitate connection through chats and groups, enhance safety and comfort through digital security access or adjustable lighting, for instance, and also enable more monetization for the business, such as through partnering with local businesses or monetizing spaces, booking things out like that. Some effective ways that we've discovered and seen for facilitating community include, first, empowering members to manage their own conflicts, for instance, through nonviolent communication training, community assemblies in which members can regularly come together to share a meal, give feedback, and propose new ideas or announce events. Sharing circles are one of the most powerful tools we've seen for fostering vulnerability-based trust and connection. Communal gardening is a fantastic way of having members get to know each other through a shared endeavor. And of course, it's always so exciting to see when those little green tomatoes turn red and everyone can share them and get excited. And we also see transformational events that can be very powerful bonding experiences. So for instance, breath work, guided meditations, or ecstatic dance, in which people can often undergo some inner transformation work, can serve as a strong relationship forming experience. Now, as mentioned earlier, the mindset of fostering community is something that should be embedded at all levels of a shared living business. As you can see on this sample organizational chart found on page 3031 of the Community Facilitation Handbook, the community lead and facilitators are embedded and supported within the wider company team. By the way, if you want to read more about this or any of the other topics I've mentioned in this video, you can download the Community Facilitation Handbook for free on our website. I'd like to wrap up this video by following up on this last point about shared responsibility and share with you all that our research shows that communities with a shared higher purpose are more likely to be successful, for instance, more resilient, more harmonious, longer lasting, than those without a shared higher purpose. This is because many of the ego-related issues, such as conflicts and complaints, right, become less important when there is this common shared higher purpose. In many of the successful communities we've seen, this shared purpose is a spiritual one. Now, we don't have to say that a shared living's brand higher purpose must be a spiritual one, but we do invite an exploration of how this idea of shared purpose can be integrated for the benefit of the community, business, and planet. This invitation begins with asking you and us to remember the following: that we are all human beings right now living together on this planet, which we call home, and yet this planet is in crisis. I think we can all agree that increasingly high rates of ecosystem destruction, social inequalities, mental illness, pandemics, and recurring economic crisis are all signs that the current systems and paradigms that we operate in are becoming increasingly dysfunctional. So the question then becomes, what can communities do? How can groups of people come together in addressing these crises that we are all facing as one humanity? So to explore this, I invite us to hone in on one of the key elements of a thriving community that we mentioned earlier, namely creating spaces, communities, cultures of trust and psychological safety. Because if we look around in our modern world, we see there's very little trust in politicians, in companies, religious leaders, even our neighbors we don't trust often. Yet we need trust to first of all feel that we can be safe to heal ourselves, and we need trust to be able to collaborate and come together and co-create the solutions that we need both locally and globally. So thank you to all of you who are already on this path, and let us continue co-creating the new living paradigm that we all want and deserve. Thank you very much.